This isn't a review, nor is it my first impression of the RetroTINK. If you're not familiar with the RetroTINK, you're probably not going to find this video very interesting, but briefly, it's a device that converts analog video and audio signals to a digital one, that being HDMI, with like zero lag. I think I read somewhere that it was 83 microseconds of lag per frame, which is, it's super tiny. It's less, you know, if there's 60 frames in a nice smooth running game per second, it's less than 200 times that. This video is not to bring up the debate of, you know, to be RGB or to not be RGB. I'll link to a nice Twitter post about how old video games looked on televisions. You can read that below. I think it sums it up nicely. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to discuss a problem I'm having when using the RetroTINK with my Genesis. The colors with my Genesis are oversaturated, they're overblown, and they're also shifted. So shifted meaning like they're wrong, the colors are wrong. And when I first encountered this problem, I went online, I found there were very few people discussing it. In fact, you know, using the search terms like RetroTINK broken, not working, oversaturated, wrong colors, Genesis, whatever, I only found one group of individuals on a website called videogameperfection.com in their forum section that someone mentioned that they were having an issue with this device having oversaturated colors. And there was some other people discussing that they were having problems as well with certain games, one of them being Super Ghouls and Ghosts on the Super Nintendo. So I said, okay, I'll test this out. I went back and I started playing Super Ghouls and Ghosts. I got up to the point they said, which is on the second stage, and there's flashes of light. That's important. Flashes of light, and I didn't have any issue. So the reason why I say flashes of light is important is the first thing I tested on this was Sonic 2, and I noticed that if there was a flash of light, so what happens in most games, like in Sonic 2, when there's the logo that appears, there's a big flash of white light, and then, you know, it goes to black, and then there's a screen again, you can see the title and everything, as well as when you enter a special stage or when you enter a stage, there's always this blanking of the screen. But I know I could shift the tint manually on my television, but I could never get it quite right. And because it was shifting, let's say when I went into a special stage, it would always be wrong. If I left it at the normal amount in the special stage, it looked fine. But then after I left the special stage, it looked horrible again. And if I, you know, had it at the shifted tint when I entered the special stage, it looked horrible. Another game I noticed this with was Sonic 3. And no matter what I did with that, I couldn't shift the tint. Like if I could just shift it manually, like if I knew that I had to shift the tint manually for the Sega Genesis to get it to look nice just once, I would say, it's a little thing I have to struggle with, but I'll do it. I'll get over the hump. But I tried more and more games, and there wasn't one solution of how to shift the tint, and I couldn't shift the tint effectively in every game. There were some games that didn't have any issues at all. I went back to playing Super Ghouls and Ghosts, and I was playing it for a while, and because I just hadn't played video games in a long time, you know, for an extended period. So I was playing that game for hours, and then I finally quit and went back to the Genesis, and I noticed that the problem seemed to go away, and I didn't know whether or not it was because I had this thing on for so long and then I was using it. Maybe there's like a burn-in time. But I went back to some of the games that I was having issues with, and the problem seemed to clear up. But in other games it didn't. The problem still persists. Anyways, the purpose of this video is to bring this problem to the attention of the community, and maybe other people can commiserate with me or come up with solutions. I've already contacted the developer. He's a very busy guy, he has a day job, and he runs this business on the side. And I understand that he hasn't gotten back to my email, but hopefully this video might, if it gets enough attention, might get his attention, and maybe just put a little fire under him to resolve the problems. Maybe if I could send this back and have it fixed, I'd be okay with that. Heck, I wouldn't have minded waiting another 6 months for this to come out. I reserved this back in August, only getting it in mid-December, and really only trying it out this week, so I wouldn't mind waiting a bit longer. So yeah, anyways, hopefully this video reaches the right group of people and we can come up with solutions.